our NFL 4-Wide feature, and we welcome to the Southeastern Sports Medicine Wise Lines Brian Miller. FinFanatics.com is the blog. He blogs, of course, on the Dolphins, and it's great to have you back, Brian. Welcome.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm glad you guys called me. Absolutely,
man. Hey, let's start first before we get to, Reggie Bush and that signing and the impact he could have on the offense. Chad Henne, this is a guy that, I don't know, from the outside looking in, I think he's a pretty good quarterback. I just wonder if he's had a whole lot to work with, and I still think this kid can make something happen in the NFL, but you're on the inside looking out. What are folks in Miami thinking of Chad Henne?
Well, the fans obviously don't like him, but I think that the fans are kind of blinded by what you see on the field, and this is my opinion from what I've witnessed watching, breaking down film. Chad Henne's a good quarterback. I think the problem that he's had, Dan Henning is an offensive coordinator. They really kind of put the chains on him, not allowing him to go out there and actually play football. And I think it's gotten into his head a little bit. It's become a mental issue for him. And basically he went out and was told, hey, you go out there and you play a very, very slow, methodical game, a Chad Pennington-style football game. Don't make mistakes. And when you're put in that position, then all of a sudden you got to go out and try and win a game, you're going to make mistakes. And I think that's what we've seen. So I think people will see a little bit different Chad Henne this year. I think they're going to take the reins off a little bit and let him go out and play football.
We're joined on the Southeastern Sports Medicine Wise Lines by Brian Miller. FinFanatics.com is the website, blogs on the Dolphins. Reggie Bush obviously is a guy, Brian, that has had some spectacular moments, but I think overall really hasn't lived up to the hype and expectations when he came out of USC. What did the Dolphins see in Reggie Bush that maybe the Saints didn't, and where do they expect to plug him in?
I think he's going to really make an impact on the outside as a third down back. I think he's going to be able to give Miami a mismatch with a running back and a linebacker, create some nice mismatches there to where he can get into some open space and make people miss. He's not going to be a tackle runner. The guy's not going to be bowling up through the line and trying to break it in that way. They've got him on the depth chart right now as number one, but that's not going to last. It'll be Daniel Thomas. He's going to carry the bulk of the load. But they're going to try to really integrate Reggie Bush into that passing attack. And where they can't, they'll be able to use him as a running back as well, running the ball. But I think you're going to see it off tackle, off tight end, those type of runs where they can really get into the outside and let him use his speed. But he's not going to be that guy that's going to go up the middle like everybody was hoping when he was drafted originally by New Orleans.
And since they didn't have him in this position last year, obviously he was with another team, did they have this kind of a play last year? And if so, who was the back out of the who was the third down back out of the backfield for the Dolphins?
Last year they used Patrick Cobbs a little bit in that role, but they were never really able to utilize anybody with Reggie Bush's talent.
Okay.
Ricky Williams was okay, but he was wearing down. Obviously, he was getting older. Ronnie Brown danced around too much in the backfield, so you really couldn't use that. Plus, Dan Henning really loved going to the Wildcat formation way too much for my taste, and I think that really put a hinder on what they were able to do. Brian Daboll, who is the new offensive coordinator, is really going to try and get Reggie Bush involved in that portion of the game. And I don't think Miami's really had a running back in their backfield that's been able to bring to the table what Reggie Bush can.
Brian Miller joining us. He blogs on the Dolphins. FinFanatics.com is the website. It is our 4-Wide NFL preview. In the AFC East, Brian, as you know, you got New England, you got the Jets, and then there's the Bills and the Dolphins. And realistically, because I know sometimes Miami fans, have some pretty high expectations, but you're looking at the Jets and the Dolphins. Both those teams probably expected to make the playoffs. What are the expectations from fans down in Miami?
Every year Miami fans go into the season expecting greatness. They expect the Dolphins to go in and make the playoffs every year. And realistically, anything short of that, they're very disappointed, which unfortunately, they set themselves up for failure every year. I would be very surprised if the Dolphins, and I hate to say this, but if they finish 8-8, I'll be surprised with the schedule that they've got. If the pieces fall into place correctly and the offense has really picked up well, then they might be able to win in maybe 9, if they're lucky, 10 games. But it's going to be a hard season for this team. The benefit that they have is they've got a defense that could be a good top 5, top 6 defense in the league, and that could really hold them into a lot of games. So it's not out of the question that they're not pushing for a playoff spot, but the fans really need to step back and realize that with the lockout being the way it was, the Dolphins drafted a lot of players to make an impact this year. They have not been able to be on that field up until a week ago. So there's going to be a lot of issues at stake when you start factoring in, we've got the New England Patriots opening day. So, I would put my money on the Patriots on that game.
And yeah, Brian, you mentioned the defense, and one of the moves I found curious, if not, I don't know, kind of sentimental, was the fact that the Dolphins brought back Jason Taylor, who played last year with the Jets. Talk to us about what that means, bringing him back, and how much is he going to play, and in what situation?
You could flip a coin right now, and if it lands on heads, half the people in Miami love the Jason Taylor signing, and if it lands on tails, the other half absolutely hate it. It's really that split down the middle. In my opinion, I don't think he's bringing anything to the table that we haven't either seen before or that we don't currently have on the roster prior to him being here. He was only able to get 5 sacks last year. He's going to play a limited role, third down, passing situations only, and I really don't think he's got what it takes anymore to get upfield like he used to, and we really need that push. I like Koa-Misi a lot, and hopefully what Jason Taylor will bring is some coaching techniques to these young kids and help them get upfield a little bit more. Maybe that's where his value will lie. But as far as the sentimental stuff, bringing in the guy this late in his career just to kind of, placate all of the Miami fans, I don't buy it. I just think that, personally, I think Jason Taylor should retire.
I agree, man.
He'll be a big asset to the dance scene down there in Miami, as well as making all those old Jason Taylor jerseys not throwbacks anymore, pretty much. Now they're relevant again.
Well, the ones that are left from not being burned after he went to the Jets.
All right.
Oh, my goodness. Hey, Brian, we appreciate you coming on. And, hey, if any breaking news happens with the Dolphins, we'd love to be able to catch back up with you. Great info as always, man.